Hello my Flosstube friends, welcome back to Snickerdoodle Stitch, or welcome if it's your first time here. My name is Kathleen and this is a channel about cross stitch. And I just want to start out by thanking everyone so much who has commented and who has visited and who has subscribed. I really appreciate it. I am already meeting tons of people through your comments and really enjoying with connecting with other stitchers and getting your feedback. So a couple of videos ago, I asked the question about the length of video that people prefer, and it seems nobody said they were a fan of really short ones. So I had some people say 30 to 60 minutes, some people said about an hour, and some people said they really didn't care. They're the lucky retirees who can watch whenever they want, and time wasn't an issue. So I think I'll probably just keep trying to stick around an hour, but we'll see. So I did a giveaway a couple videos ago and did the drawings, and those have all been mailed out except for one person. The person who won the mouse pattern is Jill, and it's a unique spelling, J-Y-L. So Jill, if you are watching or if anybody knows Jill, please contact me. I sent a message through YouTube and notifications with just requesting that you send me your mailing address so that I can send you your pattern. So congratulations to all the winners. It was a lot of fun. Once I figured out how to use a comment picker, it was a lot of fun picking the winners and contacting everybody and mailing those out. So congratulations. So what I've been working on, I have a start and I fully finished it. So I needed one more small because I added another retreat into my repertoire since I finished all my smalls. And it was from this pattern, the Sewing Bee from Erica Michaels. And I had previously done the little pillow and I showed it, I don't know, I've had it on here a couple times I think because I was using it also as an example of a small. But I decided I wanted to keep it. And I've been wanting to make a strawberry. So I actually made the strawberry that's on here. It's on the same fabric as my pillow. So it was linen that I tea-dyed myself. And here is the finish. Whoops, let me see if I can get it so that I can turn it around and I can see what I'm doing. Sorry. So there is the finish. I don't know that it came out perfect, but I'm happy with it. I put some silk ribbon up here. There's a little charm with a pair of scissors. It's kind of hard to show this on camera, but he came out cute, and he will hang. So he can also, or it can also hang like this. And then for that same little bee, I stitched the tiniest bee known to man. This is the same bee. Whoops. The little teeny tiny hoop is 1/1 on the same fabric, so it's still the 32 count linen, but you can see it's much smaller. This little wooden hoop, I got a package of them, big huge package on Amazon. And the package doesn't say the size. It said it was a little over 1 inch, and it said that was the inside measurements, but that was the outside measurement. That little guy is only 3/4 of an inch inside. But it was easy to assemble. It did require a little bit of glue. It came with 2 wooden circles, so you had one that you could wrap your stitching around, and then pop it in similar to the way you just would in a normal hoop. And then I glued the edges down, and then it came with the second circle. So really nice finishing options with them, and they were really cheap. I want to just put, this was a teeny tiny little scrap, so I had to stitch it in hand. And I want to just take a piece of linen. Chris, who sat next to me at Stitching in the Wild, she had one of these. That was what prompted me to buy them. And she said she had put a piece of fabric in her Q-snap or whatever kind. I think she was using Q-snap, and she had just stitched little tiny motifs on the one big piece before she cut it up and made little little tiny things. And that's what I'd like to do. And it's another one of those things that would force you to look at your patterns a little differently. So I'll dig through my patterns to look for anything that has cute motifs. This little guy is, I think he was like 25 by 30. So I'll dig around and see what I have, you know, what little motifs are on different patterns that would be small enough that 1/1 they would fit in a 3/4 inch hoop. It's so tiny, it's cute. But anyway, I'm going to give it and the strawberry in the smalls exchange for a retreat. And I did, I used DMC for the strawberry. I didn't use the called for overdyes, except for Twilight, because I love Twilight. I'm sure it's not going to show up here, but let me find something light I can hold it against. No, it's kind of dark. It's just a really pretty blue, and it has, well, you can kind of see up here, it has some slight variegation in it, but it's very subtle, and I love this Twilight. So I did use Twilight on it. These little hoops, I just searched for, I think I searched tiny wooden embroidery hoops, and this collection came up. There were different packages. You could get 20, 40, or 60, I think. I got the 40 pack. And then they had some others where it was assorted shapes. So there were some circles, some ovals, some hexagons, I think some hearts. Although I wasn't sure how wrapping fabric around that tiny little thing to get it in a heart. I had a feeling that was going to be a bit of a nightmare, so I passed on that one. But I went this week one night to an open quilt that one of my local stores has once a month, and Joanne, who leads the quilting class or session, said that she had some that were round, and then there were some hexies in there, and I would love to have some hexies. So these were a lot. I only did the one. It was a lot of fun, and that's on my plans. Probably not till after StitchCon to dig through all my patterns, and like I said, look for ideas that just look for pieces of charts that would stitch up really small. So I am now done with that pattern. The next thing I worked on, May was the mental health care stitch along that the 614 Stitcher hosts every May. And I was doing this Val's stuffed cat, which says do one thing every day that makes you happy. And I picked this up when I was at Cross Stitch Cupboard in Florida. And I think last time I was on, I may have had the whole cat done. I might have still been missing a little bit of him. But I got the do one thing every day. So I still need to add on that makes you happy. And I haven't decided whether to just sit this aside now until next May. I'm probably going to go ahead and finish it so I can free up one of my project bags, since my rule is that I'm not allowed to kit up anything new once I'm out of project bags, and I have some other kitted things to show today, and I only have one project bag empty. So I may go ahead and finish him. I could even take him to StitchCon so that I would have a finish there, because it's only about maybe 3 hours of stitching to finish him up. So we'll see. I could take him to my dad's tomorrow and stitch him there too, because I think I can see it well enough. I don't have the best setup when I'm hanging out with my dad to see more difficult charts. The other thing I got out this week was the Lavender and Lace Isabella's Garden, which is this pattern. It is an oldie. and I can put a picture in over here of how far I was. It is getting there. So here it is now. Let me take the pin out. It's reminding me that I've got a thread hanging on the back. So I finished all of this lacy part here up around the shoulders and the purple that's above it, and then everything that's in the pink over here, that part of her dress. And you maybe can't see it, but there's little pink stitches inside these purple pluses over here, and I still have a few more to do. There's one more, the darkest color of pink, I haven't stitched yet, but other than that, it's done. So then it's actually probably, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of the way done, because the only thing left to do is some flowers over on the sides and the bubbles, and then the little girl's head and arm. And I haven't decided if I'm gonna do the skin 1/1 or 2/2. I may just go ahead and do it 2/2 as well. Especially since I really only plan to use this as a seasonal piece in the spring. It was very springy. I was at the shop when I was finishing up my winter stitching and looking for something springy, and they had the sample of this there. And I am stitching it on 32 count Abyss, I think. Yes, it's Abyss from Fabrics by Stephanie, which is like, I don't know, I'm very drawn to it. It's one of my favorite fabrics. I like Stephanie's modeling because it's very subtle. I mean, there's a lot of variation, but there's not like really sharp marks or drastically different light and dark spots. So so I'm not sure when Isabella is going to come back out again. We shall see. So that was actually all of my stitching. Isabella, the dress, all that pink, took a long time. But I have some other stuff to show. So when I was digging through some frames, and I don't remember, I don't think I showed this. This is obviously from 1994. And I think it's from a Leisure Arts book, maybe. I don't have the pattern anymore. And you can't really tell, but these are actually just little loose pieces of floss up here. It's got glass on it, so it kind of smashes it down. And then I remember I wanted it to fit in, I think this is a 9x12 frame. And so I spaced these two apart so that this piece of ribbon and this lace would fit in between, and then it would sort of fit in the frame. I don't have anywhere to hang this now, so I was looking at it and debating getting rid of it, but I still really like the little mouse stitching. So what I'm thinking about doing is unframing it and cutting it apart and making this into a flat fold, because I know I will use it as a flat fold. I have somewhere I can put it. I don't have wall space to hang this. I don't have anywhere I want to hang it. And then this I could make into a little pillow. So that this isn't just thrown in a pile of frames in the basement. That is what I think I'm gonna do, is actually unframe it and cut those pieces apart and just finish them differently. And then I will be able to, or I will want to use them. I did do a lot of kitting this week. So I had to do some prep for stitching for StitchCon, which is, I'm going to Weekend B. So if anybody's going to Weekend B, shout out so I can meet you when I'm there. But then I showed this I think last time, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I showed this before. It is Welcome to the North Pole from Primrose Cottage Stitches. And they are doing a stitch along June through November, and each month you do one of the sections. So June would be Welcome to the North Pole, and then July would be the train, and you end in November with Mr. and Mrs. Claus with the sleigh. So you have it done in time for Christmas. And I did go ahead and kit it up, and I am doing it on 28 count fiber on a whim, milk and honey, which is also a favorite of mine. It's a nice, very subtle modeling. It's sort of a beigey cream. I mean, it has a gray cast to it, not like pink or and on 28 count, it's gonna work to fit in a 10 by 20 frame, which is a standard frame that you can get in any of the craft stores. They sell them to hold 3 5x7s, but the frame itself is 10 by 20 because I don't want to do this wooden frame, which is available from an Etsy shop, More Men Made, Moore. It's from Jim Moore. I just want a plain frame. So that's part of why I picked the 28 count, because then it will work on a the 10 by 20 frame. And I've got all the flosses pulled out for it. They're a little, sorry, they're not as pretty as they would be in floss drops. But they looked really good on the milk and honey. And milk and honey is close to what is in there. They just stitched it on light taupe, but they don't say what brand. But you can see it's very similar. And I had some of this milk and honey. I love the milk and honey. I always seem to be able to get it. And fiber on a whim is nice to stitch on, so. Oh, I know what else I wanted to say. I can't show it, but the pattern is actually it's a book. And each of these sections, like this Welcome to the North Pole, is an entire two-page spread in the book. So the pattern is ginormous, which I love. It is a color pattern. But they also have symbols in it, but it's enormous, so that's going to be super nice for stitching in less than ideal conditions. I haven't decided if I'm going to start this week or if I want to start this at StitchCon. I may start this week because this is a lot of thread to haul along to StitchCon. And I probably only want to do that one section. Another one that I won't kit it up that I want to go ahead and start is this Tiny Modernist Stitching Mends the Soul. And I'm not going to do it on cream. I'm doing this on 32 count Grace Notes Blueberry Milkshake. And I've got all the flosses tangled up. I have all the flosses pulled. They're really pretty colors. And this is what Blueberry Milkshake looks like. It is a very subtle blue modeling. And Grace Notes is relatively local. Another thing with this pattern I discovered is that on 32 count, it's going to finish up at 4.2 by 5.8. And because it doesn't have a strong straight frame stitched on it, other than at the bottom, it's going to fit fine in a 5x7 frame. So I'll pick up a frame anywhere for it. I'm going to go ahead and start this one this week because I'm jonesing to start that. When I was at Stitch North, I bought Modern Folk Embroidery, Winter Kaleidoscope. I have been wanting to do a Modern Folk Embroidery or a Long Dog, one of these ones that's geometric. This one is to be winter. I mean, it does have snowflakes in it. If you really look, I guess these are snowflakes. And then it has kind of some reindeer, deer. I mean, it's got some critters with antlers there in the middle. But I want to do this for my red wall. So I pulled a piece of 18 count Ada, and it's huge. I wasn't thinking it was going to be quite that big. I had 18 count here. I didn't have 32 count. I wanted to stitch it in Sulky, and I've got Sulky, Christmas, and True Red, but they're both very orange. I like a blue red, like 321. These are more like 666. They're more of an orange red. So I'm not sure I'm going to be happy with that. I haven't stitched with Sulky before, and I really wanted to just use the one strand of Sulky for that and do it on the 18 count Ada. But I'm not sure I'm going to be happy with those orangey reds, and it looks like Sulky doesn't have a true blue red. I have to look, because maybe the one that they're calling burgundy or something might work. But when I went to the sites that would do like a DMC Sulky conversion, 321 wasn't on anybody's conversion site, so I know they don't have exactly what I want. Another option, I have the hank of silk. This is looking orange on camera too, and it's not. It's the latest color in there is, but the dark one is a really blue red. This is a hank of silk from Silks for You. So I could use that, but I really, really wanted to do the 1/1 with the Sulky. So I probably won't start stitching on that right away, because I want to wait until I can get to my local needlework store or see if Keepsakes has Sulkies, so that I can check out some Sulkies to see if there's something else that I would enjoy using. I mean, I guess black is another option. I don't know. I'll figure that one out. That's my dilemma. If anybody knows if there's a blue Sulky, let me know, please. So the other one I kitted up is this Madame Chantilly Notte Stelle. And I am not going to do it on the cream color. I am going to do it on 28 count Nantucket Sky Lugana, which I got at Stitching in the Wild. It's from Fabrics by Stephanie. And does that not look like a summer sky? It just it's actually maybe a little bit later in person than it's showing up on camera. And these are the flosses. And here's the reds I'm talking about with the 321 and the, oh no, they're both 321. They don't look the same. Do they look the same on camera? No, one of these is darker than the other. That's interesting. They've both got the new label, but they are not the same color. It'll be okay for what I'm doing here because it's these flowers. So it would look fine if they are not all identical. But, yeah, that's a little alarming. Anyway, not alarming. This is cross stitching. Get a grip, Kathleen. This one I'm definitely going to take to StitchCon to stitch on some as my start there, because it's 28 count, so it's going to be easy to do. I don't know how much I'll stitch on it, but I'll start it there. This next one, this is a pattern that I just bought, so I showed it not too long ago, but it's this, The Beach is Calling from Erica Michaels, and I got it at Stitching in the Wild, and I was really drawn to it because the little trolley up here actually says Cape May on it, and Cape May is a beach town that's in New Jersey, only a few hours from my house. Actually, where I grew up is right across the bay in Delaware. And if you took a boat, it's only about 25 minutes. So it calls for chocolate milk from Fabrics by Stephanie. And I did buy a piece of that when I was at Stitching in the Wild, and Stephanie was there and had all our beautiful fabrics. And it is not this yellowish green color that's coming out. But I've got all of the called for flosses pulled, except there are some DMCs that are used. But I've got the called for here. They're very beachy, turquoisey, blues, some reds. It looks like Linda, who is Erica Michaels, it looks like she has only used the overdyes for the things that there's a lot of, and it calls for DMC for the things where it's only a few stitches, which I love. That's usually how I would buy as well, is I would look and see, and if there's only 6 stitches, I wouldn't buy the overdye. So I really appreciate the designer designing it that way. This next thing I have kitted up is, it's 2 of these chalked squares from Hands On Design, and Salty Yarn had this one with the bee made up when I was down there last fall. I bought it, and then I picked up the other one too, and they use Gentle Arts, but they are actually the same Gentle Arts in both of them, which is really nice. I don't know that I'm going to put them in the little tart tins. I do have some table kind of things that they would fit, but I haven't decided if that's what I'm going to do. And I have a piece of 16 count chalkboard black Ada, so it's a little bit gray. It's not a black. And let me get the called for. I've got it also called for Gentle Arts, and they're really yummy colors. I love these colors. This is a nice summer stitch. Okay, this is a little more orangey, not quite as green. I'm gonna have to play with the light and figure out why my light keeps changing the tone. Most of my lamps in the house, I have true color light bulbs in them, which are a little harsh for light because they're bluer than what we're used to, but I do so much stitching and other artwork where I'm always trying to color match something that I get frustrated if the light is significantly different than what sunlight would show. And the last thing I have kitted up is a Halloween project. And I went ahead, normally I'm a seasonal stitcher, but I went ahead and I kitted up Halloween because people were talking about stitching Halloween on the 13th of the month. So I thought I would do some stitching on the 13th and the 31st, if there is a 30, I mean for the months that have a 31st. And what I want to stitch is this. And I don't know the name of it. So this is in the Cross Stitch Halloween magazine from 2021. But this is from Autumn Lane Stitchery, and they do sell this pattern, so you can get the pattern, just this. But I love the pumpkins and then that little cat. And what I plan to stitch them on is this. My LNS Hodgepodge has something similar to this, except that they're witches' hats, but kind of crazy colored witches' hats, and they have it stitched on this. And as soon as I saw what they had done with this fabric, I was like, ooh, those little cats and pumpkins I think will work on this. So that is my plan. And I do have all of the flosses pulled. They're not too exciting. It's a lot of oranges and browns to get all the shading in the pumpkins. But yeah, if you want that pattern, Autumn Lane Stitchery has it. There's another pattern in this book. Let me make sure I'm not flashing the actual pattern. I also really want to stitch this little pumpkin baby. I love the little retro. It's designed by Saving Grace's Fine Needle Arts. I may have to Google them. But yeah, I haven't pulled the floss or fabric or anything for her, but that's another thing that I want to stitch from this magazine. There's a lot of cute ones in this magazine. I didn't get last year's, I didn't get. But this 2021 one, there was a lot in there that I loved, so I went ahead and bought it. So that is everything that I have kitted up. I was supposed to do more stitching today, but I went to Hobby Lobby because I needed some head pins, and of course I would have been further ahead to buy the head pins online and pay for shipping because I ended up leaving with other stuff. So I'll show you that. They have all of their spring collection now, like 75% off. They've started putting out it was almost all fall stuff. So this was in the spring collection, although it's for a baby boy, and then they had a pink one for a girl, but it's a really nice size and it was painted really nicely. And so I bought it so that I can put a finished Easter thing in here and cover that up, and it was $2.49, and we have no sales tax in Delaware, so I bought that. And then they had some trims on clearance, so I picked up this trim. Is it going to show or have a glare? It's jumbo rickrack, like 1.5 inch wide, and then the very bottom edge of the rickrack has little teeny tiny micro chenille balls. So I got that to use for finishing on a pillow. This was some gray and white lace. This was 99 cents for, I don't know how many yards. 3 maybe. And then I got 5 yards of ivory cording for 75 cents. This isn't very exciting, but I can dye this. So I picked up some cording. And then I will finish up with a blast from the past funny thing. When I was at my dad's a couple weeks ago, and I'll show you what book it's from. So it's this ancient book from the 80s. I think I've mentioned before that I've collected mice since I was a kid. And this Preppy and Preppette here gives away what era this was. 1982. Yeah, so my freshman year in college, stitched this Preppy and Preppette, And I remember being quite excited because I found yellow Ada, which was impossible to find. And these were still on the bookshelves in my old room at my dad's house. These are a little ragged because they have been on the bookshelf for 40 years. But I took them and covered, these are just those plain old metal library style bookends. And I covered them. This is actually seamed here and here, and then on the bottom it is just taped down. That's what I was just looking at. It looks like a big wide piece of packing tape, but yeah, they're kind of funny. So you can tell when I started stitching because the Preppy and Preppette are a dead giveaway. So I thought I would just share that for a good laugh for everybody. And I think that's all that I have today. So, I think I will have a video next week. We'll see if I get enough stitching done to have a video next week. And the following week I will not, because I will be at Weekend Bee StitchCon. So I'm getting very excited for that. My friend Lana and I are going to leave Wednesday and drive out so that we can be there bright and early Thursday morning. And then everybody, the 614 Stitcher and a couple other people told me that we need to go to Jungle Gyms, which is a grocery store in that area, and they told me that it's a lot of fun and worth visiting. There's a whole huge international section, which is what we were talking about. So getting excited for that and trying to fine-tune my projects that I want to take, and I need to finish a couple things for a table gift. I already have my small done. I need to finish a bag that I was going to put with the small. So anyway, that's what I have going on and what I have planned this week. I also need to finish one thing that I do want to take is the Cricket collection. It's the lady lounging in the bathtub with all the stacks of books, and says something like a happy ending. And I need to get her hair or something stitched so that I'm down to this big huge white bathtub, because this big huge white bathtub is going to be incredibly boring to stitch, but it will be mindless stitching for me to do at StitchCon, so that I know I'm taking that, and then I've got to figure out what else I'm taking. So everybody have a fantastic week. I hope everything is going well for you and that your stitching is going well, and we will talk soon. Bye.